also takes a hard look at shadowy social media tactics. We'll expose how bullies allegedly tied to Dan Wilson's political adversaries are manipulating the narrative. A key figure in this drama, folks, we're going to name names. It's April Lee, the regional rep for the food service contracts supplying Kootenai County Jail, whose deceptive praise for the sheriff seems driven by personal gain. Our investigation doesn't stop there tonight. We're going to revisit the controversial case of a local business owner caught on CDA police body cam.
Really? Again?
Candid admission. We said we were going to leave it alone, but we're coming back.
Well, why are we coming back?
Candid admission of visiting local Asian massage parlors and his dismissal of sexual favors raises disturbing questions about local vice. Adding fuel to the fire, this same individual has now filed a police report with KCSO for cyberbullying, threatening legal action against a Kootenai County resident who continues to unearth the hidden truths behind these incidents. That guy we're going to have with us on our show tonight so he can rebut what this Angelo Brunson guy is saying and doing. Join us also for a gripping hour of revelations where we'll connect the dots between political maneuvering, media manipulation, and questionable local behaviors, all while inviting you to join the conversation on what really happened behind closed doors in our community. This is Liberty Without Compromise, and now your host, Dan Wilson.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We do have a very packed show tonight. As always, we discuss things liberty without compromise. It is an extension of my failed sheriff's race 2024 against
failed. Is that the right
the
word?
Guy.
Failed?
Well, I mean, I didn't win.
Okay. If that was the goal, yeah. If the goal was to be in the office of the sheriff right now,
yeah,
you failed.
Yeah, but I continue to talk quite a bit about the failures of the existing sheriff. Now, I love the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I love the founders and their writings, the teachings of John Locke and Montesquieu and the Bible, Plato, all of the greats. And we are continually reminded while we are Americans of our heritage that we all have a right to life, liberty, and property. And liberty is something that we will not compromise on. I've noticed a trend. We're going to talk about bootlegging individuals, bootlicking. I said
like
bootlegging.
Bootleg.
Yeah,
you got some like
bootlicking.
Something else on you.
You know, I made a post today, or I made a comment. It was a simple comment.
Mm-hmm.
I said at Grok is such and such, and all of a sudden, all of this hate came down on me.
Because you asked Grok?
Quit trusting Trump. Quit being a Trump fanboy. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I never mentioned Trump one time. I just said, hey, is this true? We find that there are a lot of people that claim that they are liberty-minded. They claim, especially on the right, they're infants. They are part of a movement. They're not part of the deep history, the understanding, and the principles behind what exactly being a conservative is. I would say that a conservative is somebody that is true to the Bill of Rights. So, yeah, we talk about many things liberty-minded here. We dive a little bit into national politics when it's warranted. We focus a lot right here. And I like the debates that we have back and forth with a lot of you in the community. Some of my friends get a little upset every once in a while, but we still are friends. That's the beauty. How much hate did we get for bringing on Dan Gookin last week?
You open the floor to a conversation with somebody who might not agree with you on every point, and then you get accused by this faction on the right here in Kootenai County of somehow you're one of you has put the other up to running for office, or that you're doing backroom deals or something.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the conversation with Dan.
It was great.
You know, we allowed people a week in advance to submit questions. We think that we got through everybody's questions. There were 2 items that I did not believe that I agreed with Dan on, and I talked about them. But my show last week wasn't to take Dan to task and have a debate. It was to allow him, since he's running for mayor, to voice kind of his platform and to talk about things that he believes in as the questions were coming in, or his positions. Now, we reached out to current mayor of Coeur d'Alene, Woody McEvers, and have invited him also to come on to the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast. As of this date, we have not heard anything back from Woody. If you happen to know Woody and you think about it, let him know. We have tried reaching out, but we'll continue to do so, and maybe he'll give us a yes or no affirmative action on the point.
This platform may be the only one in Kootenai County where candidates are here. We're not here for a got you moment. We're here to host a discussion and allow a place for people to ask legitimate questions and let that person running for office shine in their own right. If they clearly have the belief to put in their time, talent, and treasure to run for office. And at bare minimum, as voting citizens, we need to respect that. Yeah. And it seems like the cards are stacked against candidates who haven't necessarily been endorsed and have the kind of money behind them as what the Central Committee, the Republican Central Committee, is willing to do. And we don't have live in-person debates for
Brent Reagan, Pope Reagan doesn't dare allow any of his candidates to have real debates, one-on-one debates. None of this, as Gookin said, canned questions. Mm-hmm. Just, both of us going back and forth on it. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let that coward Bob Norris. And we're going to show you more why Bob Norris is unfit for office coming up tonight. You won't believe the temper tantrum that he threw today in a Board of County Commissioners meeting.
That's brand new. That really is breaking news.
That is. And we are going to show that. But, I guess at the end of the day, I would have loved the opportunity to have debated Bob Norris right here in the county. But Brent Reagan and that executive board, the majority of them that are crookeder than a hind leg of a dog. Yeah, they went a lot.
Yeah.
We did a poll 2 days ago, right before Bob Norris held his third disastrous town hall regarding the, it wasn't town hall, it was a press conference on the Canfield murder and fire event. And before Bob came on and gave his press conference, we did a poll. There's two polls we did on two platforms. We're going to show them real quick here if you got it pulled up on slide.
There you go.
On Twitter, the question was, Sheriff Bob Norris is holding a post-incident press conference tomorrow. Will he be able to give us a clear and articulate timeline with the real facts of the Canfield murders incident, or will he fumble it and add more fuel to the alternate theory crowds? 65% of those polled said he will make it worse. 35% said it won't make a difference. Nobody voted he'll prove the facts. Now, a second one we held on Instagram. We had a lot more participants on this one. 7% said that he's going to put the alt theories to rest. 24% said he's going to add fuel to the alternative theories. And I'm using alternative theories in place of conspiracy theories because that word is used way too much.
Kind of like Rhino.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
46% said he will make zero difference, and 22% said Special Deputy DC County Commissioner Bruce Matari will cover for him.
Oh, and then there's like rumors that Special Deputy is not going to cover for Norris anymore.
Yeah, we don't know. But we're going to show the video of Bob Norris's abysmal press conference that he held yesterday. At the end of the show, we're going to spend about 45 minutes to an hour going over different aspects of it. And then you can be the judge of how did he do? So
that's coming up a little bit later in the program. And for those of you who just joined us since the beginning, make sure to share this stream to your page or profile so that more of you can join us live. And then you want to get in on the discussion by putting questions and comments right there into the comment section. I'll screen those, and when it's appropriate to the conversation at hand, we'll interject that right into the program.
Now, going on to our very next slide, last week we announced that Penny Ann Collinson's lawsuit against defamation lawsuit against Robert Bob Norris, aka Sheriff Norris, had been refiled. Many of you remember this headline if we're showing it. Judge dismisses defamation lawsuit against Kootenai County Sheriff. Kay wrote this, Thornborough, back on June 3rd when this case was dismissed, and it was a technicality. Penny refiled it correctly last week, and it's been signed to a judge. But Coeur d'Alene Press, I'm going to take you to task once again. You went through the motions to put on the front page this headline that the judge dismisses the defamation lawsuit against Kootenai County Sheriff. You didn't really dive into the details of the technicalities of it. It was more of a, what would you call it? Hyperbole, hyped up headline, propaganda headline.
Well, yeah, because I think they know we live in a headline society where people read that and they're like, okay, Sheriff Norris is all good. This quack that we've heard about was in the wrong, kind of like the rumor I was told. So that's the end of that.
Let's remember that in this specific article that Kay wrote, Kay, you're a crappy reporter. Sorry, you just are.
Well, the bias is evident.
You went and talked about all the lawsuits that Penny has been involved with, but you failed to mention, the different tort claims, like the big one right now, the current one that Bob Norris is facing along with the county and guys like Brent Reagan and some of the KCRCC, loudmouth, big mouth, Ed Bajarana, and Lear.
Absolutely, 100%.
So it's been over a week and a half since this lawsuit was filed again. Where are you, Coeur d'Alene Press? Where are you reporting, doing your job to let the community know that, Bob is not off the hook yet, and he is going to face his day in trial.
It's a lot to follow. Like you said, you read the headline and you think, okay, that is the end of that. But it's a lot of dog and pony show to increase the timeline to the point that maybe the dude retires, push it all the way out to where he's not having to deal with this and defame him or have to deal with the mess while he's still in office. They have the ways of doing that in the court system. So
let's look at slide number 4. This was put out by Bob Norris during the campaign last year. This was all of his accomplishments. We're going to hit a couple of these things right here. 30 years law enforcement officer, check. Proven leadership in law enforcement, check. Experience with law enforcement budget, check. We're going to jump down. Transparency and accountability, check. Here's a big one. Look at this one right here. Disaster management experience, check. Or
you're going to get me all whipped up about that one.
Yeah. Lieutenant in patrol. Okay, we're going to come back and talk about this a little bit later. But before we do that, what do we got coming up next?
I don't know. Well, I want to thank our affiliate, Midday Squares. This is a functional square that's going to satisfy your sweet cravings. And it's like what Dan and I talk about. If you're trying not to be chunky, you're trying to be, or you want to take it a step further than that. You're trying to be fit. You're trying to get in the best shape of your life. Actually, we have a guest coming up on this program who got into the best shape of his life in a surprising location. And he'll tell you about that here in a little while. So you got to hang on for that. Midday Squares is going to be that it's 100% real chocolate, real ingredients, but it compresses those calories, gives you a good amount of protein, satisfies those sweet cravings, comes in. They actually just released a new extra crunchy, chocolatey crunchy crunch flavor. So that's going to be a good one. We love our Midday Squares. It's a snack that it's going to curb those cravings whenever you need it, whether it's midday, before you go to bed at night. So instead of going toward the half gallon, I was going to say half gallon of ice cream. They don't even, it's not even a half gallon anymore. Those sneaky little snakes. There is a code for 15% off your Midday Squares here in the comments section. So you click on that when you place your order, you're going to get 15% off. It's also a great way to help support this Liberty Without Compromise live stream.
I lift early in the morning, and many times I run it right up to the clock when I have to hurry up, come in, get cleaned up, and head out to the office. And I like grabbing, because it gives me just the right amount of protein and energy that I need for
it's
to
giving
get me
back
through the
a little
morning.
bit. Well, and I think the other, not to belabor this, but Dan and I have had every protein bar, protein shake, powder mix, whatever that you can have, and it causes that stomach distress sometimes. That is the other beautiful thing about the Midday Squares is you're getting that hit of protein, good solid ingredients, and it's not causing those issues. So that's also why it's a great thing to grab even after a workout. Okay, moving on.
Let's have our special. I don't know how often we're going to do this. Let's do our new special segment.
Let's go ahead and do. I feel like I should have had special music for that segment.
I know we do.
So we're
need
just
some.
gonna do that. There's it's a lot. But this is the Bureau of Bootlickers here on Liberty Without Compromise, our weekly audit of loyalty without any logic at all. None whatsoever.
Loyalty to who?
Loyalty to the political power players, politicians, and social influencers here in Kootenai County.
And we're only picking on them because they are publicly opening their mouths.
Yes, if they weren't coming in, running their mouths, and it's a step further than running the mouth. It's disparaging. It's like, Dan Wilson, I got to take you down. And they're getting to the point now that the Liberty Without Compromise network is growing. They're getting to the point where they're dragging me into it. It used to be I was kind of like a little safe from that because it was you and the cowboy hat, like you were on the line, and they sort of left me alone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the innocent bystander, but the tide's turning a little bit.
Who do we have up first?
Who do we owe? Well, we got a really special. Okay, I'm like wearing 10 hats here. Okay, so the first one is, I got to remove this. We got, see, this program, sometimes I'm just telling you.
Well, I think you do an amazing job.
It's, you got to remove one thing before you add the other thing, and then it goes to a blank screen. So the first one, we got Stephanie Schad. Mm-hmm. Do I swear on this program?
Why not? Liberty Without Compromise.
Well, and she said it, not me. This is my liberty. I can say it. So Stephanie Schad, she comes on to your video. You're sharing an opinion about something, which you have every right to do. It wasn't
the protests that were
disparaging.
taking place back in
Yeah,
April.
talking about the No Kings protest. So she gets on to that video and says, I'm so done with this ego-filled sack of shit. Haven't we had enough theater yet?
Mm-hmm. Which, Stephanie, I want to address you personally because I find it really fascinating when on a local Telegram page, you were defending George Webb, that alternative theory guy that's been embedded here in Kootenai County, covering this Canfield murder and fire incident. And your response was, well, you know what? It's good that people are asking questions and digging in. But apparently that doesn't apply when you have somebody that was running against your personal crush, Bob Norris. So,
and again, these people aren't on our radar. We have nothing out for them personally until they show up, and they're downright vile. It's not even a point of stating a difference of opinion. And yes, it's not a one-hit wonder. They become a common thread. And then at that point, you're like, all right, this person warrants a little more attention. Let me see, because usually there's something on the back end of who they run with or what they stand to lose if people pay attention. Originally last year it was what this Stephanie Schad stands to lose if you're elected.
Stephanie's God is the KCRCC.
Right.
I mean, let's put it where it is.
I threw a picture up on the screen. Keep that thought.
The reason that I keep talking about some of these people is because they're coming on to our pages.
Yes.
And like Gookin said last week, look, we're going to take the hits. It's not that any of this hurts my feelings, but I'm done listening to people run their mouths about how holy and godly they are and what such great conservatives, and then they run their mouths with that they do. I don't think you're going to ever find unprovoked anything online where I just immediately start attacking, using foul language towards people or making fun of people's, physical attributes or any of that. Now, I have made a lot of nicknames for people, and I have no repentance on that. That is something that I have no issue doing because it's part of an argument, but it's not diminishing somebody.
Yeah, have a back and forth, ask your questions, even post your opposing opinions, but it's the coming on and it's completely vile. And the thing that I've noticed, we didn't have enough time to put it all together today, but it happens. It seems to come in waves where these people, they come on, like I said, it's downright vile, and there's no need for it.
Vile is
nine
true,
times out of 10, you go back to their profile, and what are they doing? They're quoting scripture. They're bragging about their pastor.
In the case of Eileen Crowley Savage and her buddy husband Randy Savage, who are from Shoshone.
They're Crowleys. The Savage, I think, is a
moniker.
Burner name.
Okay.
Yeah, their moniker.
Anyway, she was part of the committee for the new Republican platform of Idaho just a couple weeks ago. But yeah, she likes to make innuendos such as that I'm nothing more than a sex toy. Things like that.
Yeah, like
while she's promoting family values, Republican, you're another bootlicker, liquor.
Anyway, all that to say,
Yeah.
it's not like it's hurting our feelings, but we're just calling it like we see it. When you're saying and doing what you're doing, and it's when, the definition of another overused word, but the hypocrisy. Just stop claiming the Lord's name. Stop it. Stop quoting the scriptures. You're a fraud.
Christian.
Yeah.
Husband of a Christian wife.
Stop. There were more of them this week. Every single one of them. You go to their profile and they're like man of God or lover of Jesus, and the men are doing it too. Moving along.
We want to talk about
this segment.
Expensive top ramen. Now,
what do I have?
A couple weeks ago, we're gonna go to our
all right,
the slide again if you can pull it up.
We're on
several
5.
weeks ago. We brought up this individual named April Lee, and April seemed to have a unusual, what would you call it? Not a fascination, but I'm losing all my terms tonight.
Just hyper focus, fixation. Great word. Yep.
Fixation on Dan Wilson, and she likes to continually lie. April Lee is a big fat mouthed liar.
A bald-faced, fat-mouthed liar.
Saying that I was never a police officer, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that. And we said we were going to do some more investigating. Well, we are going to continue to bring up her ties. We exposed here, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, that she works with Summit Food Services that provides meals to the Cooney County Jail. We've received a ton more of emails that have gone back and forth with her. But as I was looking through these emails this past week, something came up that I thought was very curious. How much do you think the Cooney County Jail spends a year in their commissary? That's where the inmates and deputies can purchase food from, little vending areas. How much do you think that is worth per year in sales to Summit?
Top ramen?
Top ramen.
Couple $1,000.
You would think. I mean, because Costco's around the corner. I used to
thousand.
live off of Top Ramen.
I thought those things were like
50 cents a piece, 25%.
Yeah.
25 cents,
Yeah.
piece. Okay.
Yeah.
Get this email from April Lee. She sent it to Captain Jeremy Heil of the jail, Jared Peterson. Ramen Solutions. I've been discussing the ramen decision with Captain Heil since it's almost $100,000 hit to Summit's revenue. If you want it off the menu indefinitely, we're going to need to reduce your commission. It is a top seller, and current commission was agreed to based on the decision to allow ramen on the menu. Without we wouldn't have gone to the commission we did.
What?
Captain, just wanted to make sure that that's where we're at is taking it off indefinitely. If so, I'll have our CFO calculate what the means for a commission reduction, and we'll have to do an amendment to the contract. As soon as you tell me about Brinks, I'll be getting you an amendment for adding the deposit services so we could add the commission change to that and do it all in one document. I'm checking with my commissary guy, blah, 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 April Lee. So really, April, we want to bring this kind of remind folks.
Okay, yeah.
April Lee has consistently come out and lied online about Wilson and my law enforcement service.
Going to find you and going out of her way in any obscure comment section to commandeer, to spam. Yes.
But April apparently had something to lose when it comes to a contract. Now, Summit is not owned by April, but she is definitely, as it says in her signature line, business development director. And by the way, when we look at this dollar amount, that's just one section of the contract, $100,000 for Top Ramen. By the way, Captain Heil, I can sell you Top Ramen, I'm thinking, for a lot less than $100,000. Hit me up. You know what my digits are. I'll be more than happy to work out a deal with you. And by the way, they're talking about the armored car service because apparently Cooney County Sheriff's Office has to hire a armed delivery money service.
For what, the commissary?
Yeah, what do they call those guys?
I don't know.
They run the money trucks.
Yeah.
Money guards.
Those guys.
Yeah. So they're going to have to pay them because you can't put a deputy in a marked patrol car and put the deposits in the bank. But yeah, Kootenai County makes money off of the commissary that they sell to the inmates. It's part of their budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, April.
Which isn't that in and of itself is not unusual, but who knew?
Who
knew?
We'll finish by saying this, and that is this April. Look, you're the one that started this, and we've just begun to dig because we're going to show how deeply tied you are to Bob Norris, some of the deals that you're making. I've been reading some of those emails. I think they're going to be interesting to publish because I'm wondering if the taxpayers in Kootenai County know what you've been doing behind the scenes with Captain Heil and some of your deals. And lastly, I also have a former family member that worked with Summit.
Yeah. So
somebody that doesn't like me too much.
Somebody that really doesn't like
worked
you.
in the jail.
So it was probably a double whammy.
Worked in the jail, yeah.
Double whammy as to why April Lee wasn't too fond of you.
So you may get your very own special segment on bootleg. He wants to say bootleg. Bootlickers.
Moonshine.
What do we call it? Bureau of Bootlickers.
Bureau of Bootlickers. It's kind of a lip twister.
Bob,
That's not your fault. That's not your fault.
If you aspire to be on it, just we will make you famous. Now we have somebody coming on.
We
next.
do. Now we said we were not going to revisit this topic. We didn't know what we were talking about at the time. We do our best. We're going to revisit the controversial case of a local business owner caught on Coeur d'Alene police body cam, whose candid admission of visiting local Asian massage parlors and his dismissal of sexual favors raised disturbing questions about local vice. And then to add fuel to the fire, the same individual has now filed a report with KCSO for cyberbullying, threatening legal action against a Kootenai County resident who has continued to unearth the hidden truths behind these incidents. So Dan and I had said, look, we covered this for the reasons that made sense at the time when we did, and we can link to those that live stream archive for more background information. But we had another local man who caught wind of this, and he had his own way that he came about it. And so crossing paths with this Angelo Brunson, in a sense, virtually crossing paths. So this is Dan Wise. He's now a federal prison consultant. He's got quite a resume here, so I'm going to breeze through some of this to give you guys some context on who Dan Wise is, why he's here. He wanted to help other people facing federal prison time to have the same success in learning from the experience and achieving federal prison sentence reduction. He started a YouTube channel with videos and his business has grown from there. So I'm going to let you, Dan, jump in and explain to us why you're an expert in the arena with giving this kind of learning from experience, as you say, with the consulting that you do. What makes your story so special? And then how that somehow then ties into this Angelo Brunson and his admission on that body cam footage.
Sure. Well, first off, Donna, Dan, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. You guys are doing a hell of a good job over here. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm a federal prison consultant. 2011, just kind of make it short, I fell under federal indictment. I was working for a doctor that was over prescribing pain medication in Savannah, Georgia. I'm not naive. I had an idea what was going on. I openly turned a blind eye to it because I got kind of, blindsided by the financial potential money that I could make on it. So I avoided all the consequences. I avoided all the red flags. I avoided the fact that prescription pills were probably getting pushed out into the street, into the hands of kids, and who knows the devastation that caused. So after I got indicted, fought my case for a couple of years, ultimately ended up getting sentenced to 42 months, where I was very much in denial. And this does lead into why this Angelo Brunson case is kind of something that I'm passionate about. It wasn't until I kind of went through some of the trenches and the hardship of really realizing how my negative actions had severe consequences, not just in my own life, but my family and friends that were surrounding me. So going through that, coming out the other side, I've really started refocusing what was important in my life and realizing that family, friends, your community, the people that you're spending your time with, you're not going to find good value in people if you're not doing the right thing for the right reasons. When I came home from prison, I started making just basic YouTube content about how I could have taken more responsibility early on and how some of the fears that I had, some of the programs that take place in prison, and how people can take advantage of prison systems. And everybody likes to say how, prisons don't have reform. Well, the reality is no one's going to force you to reform in prison. The programs are there, but you have to decide to either, go act a fool, get caught up in drugs, gambling, doing things you're not supposed to do, or take advantage of the programs, the classes, the mindset that is there if you want to do that. So I chose to do that while I was there. And when I came home, this mindset stuck when I started making content on YouTube about how prison has kind of changed my view on things. Criminal defense attorneys started reaching out to me to ask if I could work with their clients that are on pretrial, mostly first-time, nonviolent, white-collar, low-level drug offenders. The YouTube channel gained traffic pretty quick in 2015, 16, 2017. And in addition to doing the prison consulting, which turned into a business for me, which I'm very grateful for, I also found out that I'm quite the camera hog, and I love the attention that you can get from places like YouTube and all of these things. So being on camera has always been something that has struck my ego. Slowly kind of getting equipment, building a podcast studio. I've started to kind of segue more into local businesses, entrepreneurs, artists, local things going on in the community that maybe the community is not completely aware of. And moving to this area just over a year ago, I'm from the South Florida area, like Miami, Palm Beach County. So this is brand new territory to me. I am not in the political battlegrounds at all. So ultimately I could give to, about what Angelo's political position is. One of my, I don't want to use the word partner, but one of the people that is sharing my studio, that rents my studio from me on a regular basis, owns a nonprofit here in town, or has a nonprofit here in town. It just escaped my mind here. Safe Harbor, anti-human trafficking, Angela Sador. She sent me a video a couple of weeks ago that you guys were doing on Angelo Brunson, because obviously she's very passionate about human trafficking, and where things like Rob Norris has kind of ignored the fact that human trafficking potentially even exists in this county. It's already been kind of a thorn in her side, trying to bring awareness to it. So when I saw the video, the initial video, I was like, wow, it's pretty crazy. So I started digging in a little bit further on it and reached out to Angelo, because I really didn't know where I was going to go with it. I had no intentions. I don't know Angelo personally. And to this day, I don't judge him for the mistakes that he's made, because anybody can, I'm sure everybody in this room watching, hosting, has made mistakes that we've either learned from or we try to cover up and pretend like they never happened. So reaching out to Angelo, he was very defensive early on in the emails, and he immediately sent me an email back saying, here's my defense. And it was a video that Casey, how do you pronounce his last name?
Casey Whalen.
Casey Whalen had posted, and it looked like when the video was posted from Casey, it was very much done from the perspective of an independent journalist. So, and I think Casey does have quite the following, where people probably do respect his journalism as being independent. However, after seeing that video, I reached out to Casey, because I happened to be talking to Casey just the day before. I was just introduced to Casey the day before regarding a whole separate story that I was working on. So me and Casey already had an open line of communication. So I think when I texted him, hey, do you know anything about this Angelo Brunson guy in this story that you commented on? He didn't want to respond right away. So the next day I just put Casey ? And he responded with, Angelo's a friend and I worked for him, which I just was like, wow, that was not mentioned in your defense video of Angelo. So then kind of connecting the dots, and Casey did get access to an audio of Angelo calling and reporting the potential, what he felt was illegal prostitution, human trafficking, just illegal operations all the way around at these massage parlors a year prior to the actual footage that you guys shared of him getting pulled over, where he then continued to have diarrhea of the mouth and really just go to town talking about what was going on there. What he knew, it was immoral. He knew that it was wrong. He was seeking help for it. He was doing confession with his Catholic priest, and reaching back and forth with Angelo. There was a lot of email communication, which actually, can I share this link in the chat here, guys? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
I think I want to make a quick correction though. I think that telephone call was about a month prior, because if that was the 911 call or the Coeur d'Alene police voicemail they left, okay. I believe that was about no more than 2 months prior. He had met with Coeur d'Alene police officers in 2020, about 2020, okay, as I recall. But anyway, go ahead.
I thought the phone call was in 2023, but I could very easily be mistaken. I guess the point is that the call was before his initial stop.
Right.
So, going back and forth, and the link that I just shared in here, there's actually a Google Drive in there called the Brunson file, where it has all of the email communication between myself and Angelo. So you can see full transparency. I have no intent of going after this man, but he never once took any accountability for anything that he said in the video. Right. I don't know that Angelo did anything illegal. I'm not saying that he had sexual acts while he was there, or sexual favors, or anybody was touching him inappropriately, but he was pretty well aware that these things took place and that it was going on. And I think it's also important to note that the individual that shares office space with me, Angela Sador of Safe Harbor, had actually collected a donation. I think it was in the form of a gift certificate of around $50 prior to all this happening as well, where Angelo actually wanted to sit down and talk to her about these potential illegal massage parlors. So it just seems like for somebody that had such the ability and really standing on that soapbox that he thought these things were wrong, to be going there himself and then to say the things that he said in the video were just, the audio and video did not match up with his story. So now Angelo is basically telling me if I don't take down the content, if I don't remove it, he's going to go after and sue me for defamation. He wants to come after me for cyberbullying. There is a police report on it. I did speak to the police today. Being as transparent as possible. And, is the prosecutor going to potentially pick up this case? I don't know, but I'm not doing this for any malicious intent. I would do this no matter who it is. And I think if more people were willing to, be about it instead of talk about it, we'd probably have a lot more accountability in a place like this, especially Idaho, where family values seem to be at least a lot stronger from my neck of the woods in Miami. One of the reasons why I really enjoy it here. So seeing this, just this lack of accountability in the blame game, and I'm a victim and this is a political hit. I mean, look, maybe you guys went after him for political hit. I don't know, but I would always tell somebody the end of the day is you can't be upset at the message. If it's true, it's true. It doesn't matter what somebody's intent is. If you guys hate Angelo's guts, but he put himself in that position, he opened up that door to be kind of kicked in. So I just think more people need to speak up on these matters, because it's very evident that there is potential human trafficking going on right behind our closed doors.
Yeah. We had put this thing somewhat to rest until this popped up with your recent interactions.
Sorry.
And, it's all good. Just to recall for us, we did not go after Angelo to expose it because I woke up one day and said, you know what, Angelo needs to be exposed. It was in response to the hand-wringing and the victimization that the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee believes that they're experiencing right now, that they're the only light bearers of conservative values. And after going back and forth with Jeff Tyler several times over a weekend and learning just how tied down Brent Reagan has got this group and such, I said, look, this vetting process that you guys have that I experienced needs to stop. It needs to go away. You guys cannot be kingmakers. And here is one of my examples as to why this system that you're claiming is so great is flawed, because look at this guy, Angelo. And that's how it unrolled. And of course, we talked about it for 2 weeks. But like you, I started receiving, contact from Angelo's son, and Angelo was emailing me. He got my phone number, I'm guessing from Casey Whalen. I don't know who else he would have gotten it from, but we started receiving texts and messages. And then finally it moved to, alluding to, we're going to sue you. Well, do what you got to do, man. I mean, if you think you're lucky, but I find it interesting. You talked to an investigator today. Was that Coeur d'Alene Police or was it
Kootenai County?
Really?
Yeah.
I think where do you live?
I live.
Are you in county or are you in a city or where? What part of Cooney?
I don't know. I've lived here a year. I live in the general like Hayden.
You're
area.
like
Okay.
that's how not political this is for me. I don't even know for sure the county.
I don't know anything about Angelo. I've never been to his restaurant.
The reason I ask is I find it fascinating that the sheriff's office has nothing else better to do than take what would be really, according to our attorneys, a civil issue. And trying to make it criminal as if Kootenai County is some expert when it comes to, these types of cyberbullying things.
Dan, I don't know how much homework they did before they, because wherever the investigation is going to go. But the claims were I changed and altered the video to the point, and I was very clear with the officer. I said, when you say altered, are you talking about edited? Because at the very beginning of my video that I shared with you guys, I was very clear saying, hey, the first few minutes is an edited clip to let you guys know what you're going to be seeing throughout this video, but then the video plays in its entirety. But even the clips that were clipped, none of it was taken out of context. It was 100% his words out of his mouth. But he's saying that those words in his mouth weren't his words, at least when he's emailed. And this is
because
what happens when they find out that, because if you guys got a copy of the video directly from Coeur d'Alene, they can get a copy of it as well and see exactly what everybody else is seeing. Yeah.
I'm just going to break in and say we're talking to Dan Wise. He's with North Idaho Podcast Productions. His website, northidahopodcastproductions.com. He's also Federal Prison Time Consulting LLC. He makes sense on this program tonight because he's started to unearth truths behind this Angelo Brunson incident. He explained earlier how it crossed paths with him and why he knew it was important to continue to expose this, because sometimes there aren't criminal actions, and so a guy like Angelo Brunson, who's visited these Asian massage parlors, won't necessarily. No crime was committed.
That's what we're trying to.
Never been charged with a crime. That's what people supporting him and wanted to save face for him continue to say. Well, sometimes those repercussions need to happen due to public shame, because what otherwise are the consequences that are deserved in a situation like this. And when we say deserved, again, it's body cam footage and what we're putting out there, what we have and what you have done.
Volunteer statements to the police officer.
Yes.
We're talking like volunteer. I mean, there's probably two lessons here, guys. You probably shouldn't be going to illegal Asian massage parlors. And secondly, maybe ask for an attorney before you start talking. And his words out of his mouth to the cop's camera are what really kind of invoked the drop on this. I think somebody running for any type of public office where you have families, this is a very religious state. I've never seen such a religious state where people hold their values to their heart. And from what I've seen, Angelo claims to be a very Catholic family man. He's involved in all of these things, and to be doing these misbehavior, what I see as a misbehavior, which, if these things were legal and these women were there on their own free will, but it's with on good authority. I think we all know a lot of these women come here with the thought that they're coming to a better country for a better place. They're stripped of their IDs. They're stripped of their passports. They're basically almost held hostage at a lot of these places where they can't leave. And if they don't perform the actions that they're supposed to be performing for pennies on the dollar, their families might be paying repercussions back home. I personally believe, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I personally believe Angelo is aware of this because of statements he's made to others that he knows what's going on there and still continue to go there. And I don't think Angelo's beyond help. I think he just needs to kind of open up his reality and say, hey, I made these mistakes. How do I move forward? You've jumped in to just further expose again what is already public record. Yep. Angelo is threatening to sue you. In wrapping this up, where does it go from here with you? Where does it go from here? Do you shut up, back off, walk away, like, okay, I'm in trouble? Where do you take it from here? Do I shut up and back off? Absolutely not. I had the feds kick in my door. An Angelo email knock on my inbox is not going to scare me away. But at the same time, I will abide by the law. And if anything that I did post is deemed that, there was a line crossed or a photo that was used that was unaware to my understanding of my intent. I understand intent doesn't really have much to do with what ends up happening. So at the end of the day, if a judge says, hey, what you posted it crossed the line, okay, I'll remove that. But at the end, it's not going to stop from moving forward. There's other people that are ready to post on these videos. There's Angelo I'm not even asking for an apology. I don't know what Angelo wants from this. Angelo wants the content down because I'm sure it's probably not the best for business. And I'm sure the struggle that this has put on he and his family due to his own actions are causing, irrevocable damage to his character, to his potential. So I can't imagine that this is easy for him either. So I do feel for him, but other people need to see what happens when you put yourself in this situation. Sometimes examples need to be made, and Angelo happened to put himself in that seat.
Yeah. Daniel, we really appreciate, do you go by Dan or Daniel?
But my mom calls me Daniel.
And you have like an 80% better chance getting on this program if your name is Dan or Daniel,
right?
Because we're like 2 weeks in a row now.
That's what I heard. We got like the trio.
How can people subscribe to your YouTube channel or follow along this journey if and when you continue to publish what you know is legally correct for you to be able to do? How can they follow along?
So on YouTube, you can either go to RDAP Dan, which is my prison content, and that's RDAPDAN. My other channel for more local here in Idaho is North Idaho Podcast Productions. That's pretty much it.
Okay, we'll let you type that into the comment section or put those links there so people can click on it from there, and when they replay it back also.
Dan, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and please keep us posted.
All right, guys, keep it real.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, these are interesting times. I encourage people to go to that link, the Google Drive, and download all of the threats from Angelo.
And he did already put that. You probably saw it there too, but the link to his episode, the YouTube link, is there in the comment section. You can reference that. And then he was saying that once you're in that YouTube link where his video is, in the resources there, he's got the Google Drive link. Mm-hmm. So he's backing up everything he's said and done with the facts of the matter.
Bob Norris continues to display his emotional instability. Those of you that watched last week saw that famous exchange between Hayden City Councilman Ed DePriest and Bob Norris, when Bob exploded because Bob didn't like what was being said or asked by Ed DePriest. We saw that explosive blow up. Ed admitted that he lost his cool too. But if you go back and watch that video, see who the instigator was. See who was screaming the loudest. And your sheriff should not be a screamer in public. Well, we have yet another example. No, it's not crying, because we have shown you how many times that he will cry over nothing when he's publicly speaking. But today was a very... I almost couldn't believe it. They're talking right now about fiscal year budgets 2026, and Bob Norris is now well over 50 million in his ask. That's well over 30% of what he first came into Kootenai County, what kind of a budget he had, and it's increased. But last year during the campaign, we brought up this license plate reader technology that he was bringing to Kootenai County. You can go back to our YouTube page and type it in and look at the various videos we put on that topic. And I'm against the LPRs for a whole host of reasons that we won't go back over tonight. But let's take a look at this video to see where we're at in the budget. The Kootenai Board of County Commissioners, Kootenai County Board of Commissioners went ahead and funded this program earlier this year. Now we're going to watch and see an update on Bob Norris going before the Board of County Commissioners requesting to continue the funding into fiscal year 2026.
ALPR audit information. Okay. At this point, I would be in favor of taking out the $24,000. Right now, I know that there's still 6 months left on the contract, which I understand we're going to be getting updated numbers, but I would feel more comfortable cutting that now and not leaving it in the budget.
May I be heard? So can I assume that your position would be to keep the technology but not store it? Is that would be your position?
Well,
Or to cancel the contract?
so not renew the contract after December.
Okay, but what about for the officer safety component to this?
Well, I don't have any information here to help me with the officer safety thing. I don't have
Well, then can
anything
we go
to go
back?
off
Can we
that.
start the budget proceedings again? Because we're gonna need a lot more personnel to solve cases that we've solved from this. So let's start, let's go back and start from day one. Because this technology saves investigative time. This technology is an officer safety feature. This technology is widely used by other agencies.
Officer safety.
Sheriff, didn't you send out some numbers?
I
Or
did.
the undersheriff did?
And I,
Yeah,
we,
it's
in the
an-
short period of time, even not having everybody fully trained on this, but we had 419 inquiries into the system. And we've had 19 successful investigative solves or nexuses to another crime.
Is this stationary or only mobile? Because I think that the numbers have stationary in there as well, and we're not talking about stationary. We can't do anything about the stationary.
Okay. I'm talking about ALPR. in
Okay,
general.
I'm only talking about the mobile systems that we have in our car. Obviously, you're not getting rid of the hardware because that will stay. But it's just the storage of the data for 30 days, right, is what we're storing it for right now.
Correct. So I would, I'm asking the board to approve that. That is a officer safety feature, that is a
Officer safety.
investigative tool, and we have not had any breaches into that system. Every keystroke is monitored, and every keystroke is, has an origin point, so it has not compromised anybody's privacy whatsoever.
Look, our deal was that we would give you a year. And you make the case of how it's,
Absolutely,
positively affected the community from a crime reduction standpoint.
absolutely.
And I think you should at least be given that year. I don't have a problem putting the money in, but we need to at least have that presentation and go through it and talk about it and make the case to people, because that's really what was said on multiple occasions
Agreed.
for that.
So, Mark, do you want to keep the $24,000 in for the mobile license plate readers?
No.
All right, so it sounds like we have two commissioners who want to cut the ALPR from the budget. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right now,
So
yes.
officer safety doesn't matter to you folks. All right. Let's go.
All right, so I'll make that budget cut. Okay, was there anything further on the budget?
Keep playing it.
that the board wanted to?
They all go filing out.
I think they didn't want to, though.
Yeah.
Not on B, no, thank you.
So,
All right, so I'm gonna move
what
this
we
budget then.
have right there is the county
I don't have any
commissioners,
particular
3 of them,
outs-
that get to vote on budget items for the sheriff's request.
Yeah.
And you heard there that Norris continually says the same shit that he says every time.
Yeah.
Officer safety and investigatory. And you know what? It's so important. If we don't have this technology, we're gonna have to go back and hire more deputies to do the investigation that these license plate readers are capable and performing for us, which is not true. But when you had a final vote, Chair Matari obviously was saying, hey, we gave you a year and your year isn't up. We're still under contract through December for this software, the Motorola LPR software. But when Leslie Duncan, county commissioner, asks Mark Eberline, are you for keeping the $25,000 in the budget? Mark's like, nope. And then Bob gets up. So officer safety doesn't matter to you. Look, I'm going to tell you as a guy that ran for sheriff, that was a reserve police officer for 12 years. If you hear those words from a politician, officer safety, be very, very skeptical. That is manipulation of the people most times. And this is coming from somebody that wore the badge and the vest and did patrol and investigations. We do not trade our privacy from this ever-growing global surveillance state. I don't care what they claim. We've already discussed the errors and what they're eventually going to move towards. But Bob Norris, you don't care about officer safety. And he gets up and he looks at all of his deputies that were just behind him and he says, let's go.
It seemed to me like they hesitated and they're at this crossroad. I don't know.
They probably weren't done with the budget. I mean, the lady that left was the chief budgeting officer for Kootenai County. They were presenting to the county, and Bob's like, I'm out of here.
Well, and this is all speculation, but how many of them realize this guy's a tiny tyrant, and he's telling me I now need to leave this meeting. I don't want to go, but also my job. So they have to, and they all follow him out.
Yeah. So there you go. There is Bob losing his cool again. Always got to make a display of incompetency, incense, offended, because he thinks, as I think Ed Dupree so accurately, called out. You're not the king of Kootenai County, Bob, but he thinks that he's the king.
The amount of emotional immaturity is displayed in his inability to control his emotions. And sometimes that's exposed in crying over nothing. And recently it's been, and we're getting to this in the most recent press conference, it's like the guy is continually on that razor edge of I'm about to lose it. And you can see it in his eye movements, the tenseness in his face, his body language. But I do want to tell you, we're going into a second hour of the program tonight because we've got an in-depth review of the sheriff's third press conference that he did on the Canfield Mountain murders. And that's a briefing that left more questions than answers. And I think probably deepened public mistrust over the true events that happened on that day. And so we're kind of going to go into a bit of a play-by-play tonight. I know some of it we're going to skip over, but you're going to want to hang on with us because typically we do an hour or more, but we are going into that in the second hour of our broadcast tonight. So hang on for that. And we want you to join in the conversation with your questions and comments as we dig into that.
Yeah, we are going to go over this video. It's on YouTube. It was too long for us to download and try to chop up and cut up. So we may end up, we're just going to power through it.
Yep.
We may skip ahead a little bit. If you want to watch it yourself, you can go to any of the various news sources. Kootenai County's own sheriff's office that was supposed to be live streaming, they desperately need that $85,000 media relation.
I was hoping
that was horrible. Horrible. They couldn't even live stream their own hosted event.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about this, and we are going to probably parse it up. We're going to discuss some of the fallacies, the things that Bob has done and what he's saying. But I want to make this very clear. I am not right now in the camp of many of you that are in the alternate theory space. So just to be clear, I right now am waiting for the entire investigation, which is not done, to determine exactly what my belief is on the final report.
He might be the smart one of the two of us, but I myself have, it's been hard actually not to jump on this alternate theory to go down that road. It's you actually have to exhibit self-discipline not to, because it seems like Bob Norris in the statements he has made has opened the door so much that it's just the confusion abounds and the need to ask more questions. So like, okay, now that you said that, it just raised like 5 more really important questions.
Yeah, now we have said this is third strike, you're out. This, what we're alluding to is there have been prior to this press conference, there were 2 other press conferences. There were actually 3 total that he gave in the first 24 hours.
Okay.
But I'm kind of considering the first one not really a press conference because, he was just getting up to speed. But yeah, this one has left so many questions, and a couple things that I want to point out from the very beginning. I already said that I am not one right now that is balking from the official narrative that is currently going out. Do I think that there's confusion and things that don't make sense and have not been articulated? Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little more. Everything's always subject to change once evidence comes out or there's something that it compels me to change, but I'm going to get that out of the way. The second thing is, a couple weeks ago, one of the deputies that informs me of things is part of Bob Norris's command staff. And I can tell you that when I came out with my video that's now reached on Instagram, 20,000 views, something like that, that we were told by this deputy, I was told that Bob Norris wasn't answering his phone for well over an hour after he was first contacted about this event. And people are upset saying, well, so what? A guy's got to have a life. He's got to have a life.
So, God forbid, and this comment was dropped again today on socials, God forbid somebody go out in a boat, and they're making light of that. Is there any do you want to add anything then to that statement that you were making? Because people take days off. They could be out of cell range.
My belief, and this is the way you and I had already strategized about had I become sheriff, is you are on call 24/7. That's what he tells people all the time, which means you better be accessible to your people, or you officially turn duties over to the undersheriff or a captain or somebody that's that designated person. But from the deputy who was informing me about the events, it took over an hour for Bob to respond. Bob was actually out on a local lake with a mayor, not Coeur d'Alene, not Hayden, but he was out on a lake when he finally responded. And then when he actually got to the place that he went right after he was informed, he was not briefed by the undersheriff. He was not briefed by a captain. We don't even really know where he was getting his first intel. That's why he was saying, they were being pinned down by fire deputies, were pinned down. And, I'm telling anybody that has a shot to neutralize the suspect. And there was multiple, all these things. But we'd already talked about this. You don't get drunk when you're the sheriff. You don't put yourself out because you are on duty 24/7. If you're out of town and it's clear that you're not there, okay, I understand that. You delegate your chain.
You delegate, you have a plan. But what you're saying is you do make sacrifices in your personal life.
You do.
Like, for example, if that were you in the office of the sheriff, you would say in that 4-year term, I'm sacrificing. I actually will change. I will have the discipline to change certain things in my life. So I am never going to drink to a point where I cannot immediately get in my car and go to where I'm needed to go. And so there may be other things that you fundamentally change. So yes, it is going to have an effect on your personal life, your personal time, whether or not you choose to go out on a boat, and what you engage in when you're doing things on your personal time, if it's going to affect that job.
One more quick thing before we get into this video, because we're talking too long, is right. I did confirm through deputies a search of CAD and radio logs that Norris, which is call sign 2100, never appeared the entire day of that incident anywhere near the command's post or near the crime scene. Now, we will maybe eventually find out when the crime scene logs are released, but at no time is there any mention of Bob Norris by name or by his unit number ever having been at the scene. He talks like he was there. If he did, he either turned off his GPS on his car, which is interesting because he's driving a county patrol car. It's unmarked. Or number two, he didn't bother to have the courtesy to let radio know where he was. Very unlikely. I mean, when you are the chief law enforcement officer,
Yeah, that doesn't add
everybody
up.
wants to know where you are because people need to know how to get in
Right.
touch with you. So without any further delay, we're going to jump into this video. We'll see how long it drags out before we may jump around a little bit. Let's play this.
Ambush, a pure act of evil against the people we look to for help. The suspect chose an area heavily treed, heavily brushed, and he had high ground advantage. This investigation is active and in its early stage. Some components of this investigation are not yet complete or still unknown. Some scene details will not be discussed. Period. Our hearts are with the families who will be forever changed by this horrific act of violence.
All right, let's go ahead and put it on pause real quick
On
here.
June 29th at approximately 1 p.m.
Okay. So a couple things I want to point out to folks. If you caught the very first beginning of this, at no time did Bob Norris say to the press who he was. I'm Robert Norris. I'm sheriff of Cooney County, Norris, etc. Note that at no time in this press conference does he have any other of the stakeholders, the multidisciplines. He's in the middle of an investigation, which my understanding is Cooney County is taking primary lead on it. But you have, by Bob's own admission, Idaho State Patrol that is conducting the officer-involved shooting investigation. You have many other law enforcement agencies that participated in it. You have a coroner that has to release the cause and times of death. So when you look up here, look at why Bob Norris is talking during an active investigation. We're 3 weeks out. What compelled him to have to come out there? He's already said they're not going to tell everything. So why come out at all? Why don't you have anybody else there? Why isn't anybody from Coeur d'Alene there? Coeur d'Alene PD, ISP. Why don't you have any of your command staff? Why isn't the coroner Duke Johnson there? Why don't you have anybody from Kootenai Medical? On and on and on. So as you're looking at this and listening to Bob Norris fumble his way through this press conference, trying to assure the public that all these alternative theories are just that, they're theories without any credibility, this is why he fumbled it so bad. So let's go ahead and keep playing.
The suspect committed arson by lighting a series of fires to initiate a response from local fire departments. We know this based on evidence at the scene. We know this, he had gas in his possession. He had small compact lighters, and he had a flint fire starter, and additional evidence to be discussed later. At approximately 1:24 p.m., the sheriff's office received a 911 call regarding a fire on Canfield Mountain. The caller was not the suspect. So we've determined that there are two separate individuals. At approximately 1:40 p.m.
Running a small family business out
are
here
you kidding
isn't
me?
easy. Hey, Dad! We get a lot of help from Amazon.
All right. If that happens too often, we're going to have
Firefighters
to
asked
stop
the
that.
suspect to move his truck. The contact is being described as confrontational. At approximately 1:50 p.m., the suspect, who had lied in wait, intentionally attempted to murder Dave Tisdale, a firefighter for the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department. Within milliseconds, the suspect, who had lied in wait, intentionally murdered Frank Harwood, a firefighter for the Cooney County Fire and Rescue, and John Morrison, a firefighter with the Coeur d'Alene City Fire Department. Those firefighters died instantly and simultaneously. Those firefighters died instantly and simultaneously. At approximately 2:01 p.m., a firefighter from the Northern Lakes Fire Department broadcasted that the location was an active shooter scene and that everybody is shot up here. At this point in time, we're going to show a video that we have put together, and then we will hold any questions till the end.
What's the status of your emergency?
I couldn't tell you. I have to look at my phone, but I'm on the mountain bike trail, Canfield Mountain. I'm coming down, and there's fire that's getting pretty hot and pretty.
Okay.
Right now, the active shooter zone. They're shot. BT3's down, BT1's down. Everybody shot up here. Law enforcement, go 3 now up here. Shots fired.
Copy, shots fired.
That's from 2933.
2333.
Yeah. Two with us. One after you. One there. Breaking. It's breaking. Here we get here. So one unknown. That's where you go to hill. However, firefighters don't have accountability. Leave that. Around the one though. Right. Maybe ambulance where the silver. Moment, do you want to go? Okay, quick push down 100 yards and get able to you. Right, bro. Right. We're going to get the Bearcat down to the edge here. I don't want to push you too far away from us. You have a bunch. Need identification. As the bus brings out back up, brings the sound to our closer. Yes, closer, always very good.
We can probably jump ahead a little bit here.
Johnson, a little closer.
Jump ahead a little bit here. We're going to probably get another pop-up. If we get too many pop-ups, I'm thinking that we're going to probably stop for the night. We will.
How far ahead do you want me to? No.
Probably about there. Because yeah, if here we go. We're gonna get these
I
annoying. Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add from what we've seen to this point?
Now we're just listening to basically the events through radio that was taking place at the
Can you
time.
pause it right there, Mark?
So what we're looking at right now are scribblings by the
When we interpret
suspect.
drawing, this is fairly an accurate depiction of that parking lot we see that we have a mountainside here. We see a parking lot area here. He's got kill, kill, kill. He's got what appears to be a shotgun here with blast coming out of the barrel here. There appear to be figures here with a head, arms, legs, same. And killed the fat landscaper. Apparently he had a employee performance issue with a previous employer. We believe that this is where that comes from. He's killed the fat landscaper. And the owner of the company had admonished him regarding his performance in the past.
I think that Norris walks off mic anytime he leaves the podium, so it probably was hard to hear what he was even saying about these images, I'm guessing.
Can you pause it there? So this is a fairly accurate depiction. What we interpret this here as he's got himself as the figure, and then he puts the pump shotgun butt on the ground, the barrel here, and he pulls the trigger, and you see even his free hand on the pup and on the slide, and the other one in the trigger area.
Sure, where were the drawings found?
In his apartment on Sherman Avenue in the city court. Many of these are still being analyzed, so we're still in the process. It's been 3 weeks since this event occurred. An Instagram post. The suspect. The suspect was not born in Russia. He was born in California. He had incomplete processes to join the military. And as we previously stated, we had 5 local contacts with law enforcement here. All very, very minor in nature.
Point of order, Sheriff. Are we going to have access to these screenshots after that?
They will be available at some point, I guess.
Not today.
I'm not sure yet. We're still waiting for
I'm only asking because of the brief time that we have to see them.
Right, gotcha. Okay, pause it right here. This was a letter that was found in his truck. I'll read it to you. It says, "Hello, Father. I write this to you in a concerned effort that you may read this in utmost sincerity. Tomorrow I shall go into battle. If I survive it, would be with utmost dishonor. I bid thee farewell. I hope that you shall live to the fullest extent as you have thus far. I beg that you do not fall into the traps of modern existence with media and other false pleasantries that have plagued the minds of individuals today. Propaganda of sorts. You are an outstanding individual, and I wish you the best." That was found in his vehicle. That was at the scene that we had pushed over because in a ravine because we did not want him to. We didn't know how many suspects there were. We didn't want him to circle back and get into the vehicle. Like I said, those images are still being analyzed. However, part of my philosophy is very transparent. When I know something, you'll know something. We believe that there's still some parts of this investigation that remain unknown. We are still waiting, or if the investigators as of right now have put a preservation hold on social media accounts, so those take months to obtain. So many of these components we know, some we don't. With that, we'll take some questions. Yes, ma'am.
Lewis from KHQ. Can you tell me, in the slideshow it mentioned that he had contact with CDA firefighters in May, had attempted to apply to be a firefighter, but was frustrated. Could you describe that interaction a little more?
Yes. So it's being described to us that the suspect went into a Coeur d'Alene fire station in May of 2025 and inquired to be a firefighter and had the state of mind that he would be able to start that day.
All right. So Bob has completed his timeline, I guess. I mean, it's kind of all over the board. He went in and, we're kind of having to filter through these pop-ups, which I wish we could have downloaded. That's my fault because I wasn't able to screenshot it. But all that said, he's given this kind of narrative of what goes on, and then all of a sudden he switches to video. Not a lot of context. He's not really talking through the video. What are we looking at? What's the timeline? Then he goes to drone footage, which we didn't show because they used an asset from another agency to go and try to locate the suspect. And this video that we're looking at was CREM 2. Norris says that there's going to be a body that people are going to see in a second, which was presumed to be the suspects. I'm not saying his name because I don't want to give the dude any more, exposure than he needs. But suspect, and CREM 2 swings away from it. They're not going to show it, and I understand why, since it was live on their station. Then he goes and starts bringing out all of these various scribble drawings the suspect allegedly. Notice that there was two things. He found the drawings in an apartment off of Sherman, but they said that he was living out of his vehicle, so we're not certain, which one is true. But they must have served a search warrant on an apartment or a house in Coeur d'Alene, and they extracted these scribbling drawings that showed examples of people that he was related to, and one was a self-inflicted gunshot that he was going to eventually come up with. This, in my experience, lines up with the typical behavior of active killers in their premeditated states, so the 6 phases of active shooters. But then he switches and says, and then this nice crisp paper here, after they pushed this suspect's vehicle down a ravine, they found, it looked pretty crisp to me, so maybe they scanned it, I don't know. That was basically a swan song letter to his dad, talking about, he's going to do something, right? So
are we allowed to talk about some other things, even just with those drawings? I don't know.
No, I don't want to get too far off to it. Yeah. Okay. But so that's where we are. We're now abruptly, now I'm going to take questions. Now there are no other stakeholders up there. Coroner's not up there. He's already said things about the suspect that, we haven't heard from the coroner. So let's continue.
Keep talking. This takes a second to do. All right. Okay.
Thank you for being on top of that, by the way. Outstanding.
Physical agility and a background investigation and an oral interview. The contact became agitated and frustrated, and it was described to us as he left there in a very, very frustrated and agitated state. Yes, ma'am.
For those of us that might not know, why were higher ranking firefighters some of the first people on the scene? Is that standard procedure?
Well, I would love, if I didn't come prepared to ask them if they wanted to speak. A firefighter battalion chief, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a battalion chief is equivalent to a lieutenant on a law enforcement agency. So I don't think it's out of protocol for them to go up to be out there to assess to see how many resources are likely going to be necessary to develop a strategy. And I'm looking at to develop a strategy of how we're going to attack this fire. So I don't think it would be out of the ordinary for battalion chiefs. Would you concur with what I said, or?
Correct.
Okay, so yes.
A couple questions. We saw a brief slide of the shotgun.
Yes.
Is that a pump?
It was a pump shotgun, Maverick Model 88.
And then the progression, you said that Dave Tisdale, was he shot first?
He was shot first.
Was he outside the vehicle, inside?
He was outside of a vehicle.
Was there any reaction that we know of?
The only thing that we can surmise, and this is based on the evidences at the scene, is that Tisdale was on the passenger side of Coeur d'Alene Fire Battalion Chief's vehicle, on the passenger side, between the extra cab area and where the bed starts.
Between the what?
The extra cab area.
Oh, extra
Okay,
cab.
so you have extra cab area and then where the bed starts, the bed of the truck.
Sure.
So that's where he was found.
And Frank and John were inside the vehicle. Was it believed that they were shot from the external of the vehicle?
Yes, and Frank was in the passenger side.
Scott, I don't like to say, hey, Alexa.
So a couple things while we're waiting for this thing to clear out. He didn't think to bring fire over to explain things, right?
Right.
You just heard him say in a press conference where he's supposed to be kind of the lead investigator, he doesn't even think that it's important to bring the other disciplines. Now, a couple other things. He identifies the suspect's weapon as not a semi-automatic shotgun, but a pump Maverick 88. And then he goes on to say that Fireman Tisdale was outside and took fire first, and he was with the Coeur d'Alene Battalion chief when that took place. So when you're ready, we'll go ahead and keep playing. Thanks for your patience.
And John was on the driver's side.
Were they shot through the windshield, the side door?
The window was down. However, we believe that the shots were so simultaneously that and the location that they died instantly. Yes.
The drawing the suspect made of himself was a shotgun, right?
Yes.
Was that consistent with what you found on the scene?
It is consistent with what we found. Yeah, it's very consistent.
Sheriff's Department had asked the Spokane County Sheriff's Office to help with helicopter support, 2 helicopters, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And I know that Kootenai County has access to their own helicopter, which wasn't used during this time, and hasn't been used for a while. Can you give us an update as to why it was not used, and then a timeline about when you will have use of that again?
So it was down for maintenance at this particular time. However, there was an area of the workman's comp insurance that was identified that that we could do better in, we were deficient in. So the attorneys are working out the workman's comp. It should be noted that on that subject,
Here we go.
that Kootenai County
Deflection.
deputies have been going up with Spokane County helicopters for years. And it was discovered that there's the same workman's comp issue, that they weren't covered because of some sort of a language.
See, Spokane
Yeah,
wasn't doing it right either.
Did not cover them while they were in an aerial.
Yeah,
Let
we're,
me know.
We're going to go ahead and pause
working
this.
on results.
Okay.
Okay, so folks, I want you to understand this setup question. This was by ally Aaron Bernard,
Bob Norris ally.
Bob Norris ally, one of our sharpest critics during the campaign. Aaron Bernard runs the Kootenai Spectator. She, of course, we've traded a lot of things back and forth, but here's what I want you guys to get a little bit of the background. I've been dogging on the liability of this volunteer helicopter program for a long time. Go to our YouTube page, go to the idahosheriff.com, type in helicopter, find more than enough on the backstory. But Aaron came out earlier this year and made a public statement that we talked about, where she claimed that a missing elderly woman that was found dead was dead because I, Dan Wilson, caused her death because I grounded the helicopter. Now, the truth of the helicopter issue is multifaceted. Not only was there an issue with the workers' comp, and they're insured through ICRIM, self-insured, but there's also a problem with this volunteer helicopter program and their liability insurance. And that helicopter that was entered into an MOU with the county, private corporation, Lieutenant Ellis, that is overseeing that helicopter program, also is part of the ownership on the board of the volunteer helicopter program. Well, you know, they spent $10,000 a year to use Spokane County's helicopter and decided for whatever reason that it wasn't capable anymore. And they conned the county commissioners into turning this MOU into the partnership with this volunteer helicopter agency, the Kootenai Regional Air Support Unit, and they were never able to produce regular liability insurance. We went over this. I petitioned the county commissioners and said, nobody in the entire county has produced the insurance documents for this helicopter. So helicopter that we paid $10,000 as taxpayers plus $100,000 worth of civil asset forfeiture funds to equip this helicopter that the county doesn't own, has been sitting at the airport since September 13th. You can go and look at Flight Aware, type in Able One. You can see that other than a couple of maintenance flights, this thing has not been in service for now coming up on well over 10 months. So anyway, let's go and finish that. And bravo, Aaron, for giving a softball question to Bob.
Yeah. So I also, in the comment section, as we continue to play this video, I want some ideas from you guys as to why Erin Barnard of Kootenai Spectator, why she would have come in with a setup softball question for Bob Norris to basically position him to respond as to what the deal is with his helicopter. So we're not going to belabor that point.
Spokane County also is having an issue.
So
No, Bob.
Aaron
Spokane
Barnard,
County is not having an issue.
Aaron Barnard, who's not a fan of Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson exposed a lot of things to where that helicopter is grounded for the issues he just stated. And then Aaron Barnard intentionally comes into this press conference asking a leading question about the helicopter, kicking it off to Bob Norris to present what he clearly came there to present.
Yep.
It was inappropriate. So anyway, continue that conversation in the comments as we move more through this press conference.
So, I saw a hand over here. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to double check. The person who called called the 911 call.
Yeah.
Are they in any way involved in the investigation?
Well, they were interviewed. He's a retired law enforcement officer. And he was interviewed, and he was determined that he had no relationship to the event whatsoever.
Yeah. So once again, he was just talking about the initial caller was former law enforcement, not related to anybody in Kootenai County.
Explain the discrepancy kind of between the initial reports that there was fully automatic gunfire and then the woman being found with a shotgun, and how he was able to be so effective with that shotgun.
Did you see the video? The deputy said that he was taking semi-automatic gunfire.
Okay.
Did you see that?
No, well, I believe it was the very first briefing you gave when I think you mentioned fully automatic gunfire system, rifle fire.
If I said fully automatic, then that was my error. It would have been semi-automatic. So, but he described the weapon as a semi-automatic, high-powered rifle. What's that?
I was curious. Okay.
Oh, I was just saying, you said rapid fire. You were still taking rapid fire at 4:30 when
That was, that's the time of the press conference.
Yeah, you said you
Where
were
this occurred, when this occurred, I want to say this was about 2:45 or 3 o'clock. So I'm trying to give you information at the 4:30 press conference that happened prior to that event, prior to that 4:30. You understand? So, so we get information. Yeah, we're taking automatic gunfire or semi-automatic gunfire based on the deputies that are out there extracting these victims, extracting 4 citizens, extracting our firefighters. They're stating on the radio that we're taking semi-automatic gunfire. Can you find that again, just so?
All right. Well, while Bob's doing that, we're going to probably skip ahead a little bit, but notice his posturing. The minute the question was asked by the reporter, well, can you clarify, when you first spoke, you talked about, automatic gunfire, and Bob gets agitated and he says, "Did you just see the video?
Well,
did you just see the video?"
The other thing it does, you talk about posturing, but he does
steps
it.
out.
He will move into you. So
Your
as
personal
soon as you've
space.
crossed the line, he's going to come forward because I'm going to deploy physical intimidation. How dare you ask such a stupid question?
And then the follow-up question by a reporter was, well, look, initially, when you first briefed us, when he was out on the boat and had to hurriedly come in to get before the press, instead of having a PIO do that job and, actually as a sheriff, getting your ass up to the command post and being there for your people, he didn't do that. And we all saw that first press conference. He was saying that they had deputies that were being pinned down by multiple shooters.
Yeah,
and high-powered rifles. And so he's going to get a little more pissed as he continues to be questioned and as he's trying to show this video evidence. Look, I spent a year on the campaign trail against Bob Norris. I know his body language, and he is once again showing what a uncertain of himself bully looks like.
Okay, I'm going to get this rolling. You'll have to let me know if you want me to, how far to push it forward.
I'm not quite
But I
certain.
think our question says, she said your press conference at 4:30, you said you were still taking gunfire.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm-
but that sounds like 2 hours after the last shots were fired.
About an hour and a half. Yeah.
So that was just heat and moment. That's your information at the time, but it was after the action was incorrect.
I'm trying to give you up-to-date information at the time. Does that mean that as I'm talking to you, I have a radio in my ear wondering what's going on? No, I'm giving you up-to-date information, what's occurred.
Should have had your ass up on the command post.
We created that command post to locate the suspect. I think we're getting into semantics.
He referenced the command post like he was there.
What the value of that is, but
Where there's multiple people.
Answer that one, Bobby.
They're asking him to move closer to the podium because every time he walks away, he's off mic for their cameras.
hold on, let's address this because I'm not quite sure what the importance of this is, but let's just.
He doesn't understand the importance of.
Well, it's belittling. This isn't an important question.
For situational awareness, male has a high-powered rifle. He shot at us once while we were extracting the medic, great. He shot us again while we were down, transferring into a patrol car, great. We have an unknown, there's a big medic up there that's down, we don't know, we don't believe he's
Okay, so
up there.
pause it there, Mark.
We're not-
So are you saying that we should ask that deputy who's up there to verify why he believes it's semi-automatic or high-powered rifle gunfire? Is that what you're expecting us to do?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
No, I'm saying, I guess, when you said we are still taking heavy fire.
I was giving you, I was giving the briefing as to what has occurred for the.
Notice he's
previous
talking
hour
over
and a
her.
half Since we made that command post, so, yes.
The wounds on David Tisdale, do we know what caliber bullet or shotgun shell the wound was?
It appears that all of the wounds were done by a 1 ounce rifled slug.
Okay. And then in
Is
the
that a
tape,
10 gauge, 12 gauge?
there
What?
was some rapid semi-automatic fire that does sound like it would be more rapid than a pump action shotgun. Were those from the sheriff's deputies firing and rolling?
Yeah,
Or-
yes. So what we hear is, yes, we believe that all of those. However, still subject for being analyzed. But we believe
Analyzed?
that as of right now, that is the deputies returning fire because they thought that they were receiving fire. And we don't ask them what type of fire that they're receiving. They don't need our permission to defend themselves. They don't need our permission to be able to extract 4 civilians, 2 live firefighters, and 2 deceased firefighters. They don't need our permission.
Okay, put this on pause. So look at what just happened again. He moves into people are asking questions. That's why you have a press conference.
Yep.
Right? He doesn't
Don't invite him if you're not gonna answer.
the Idaho State Patrol.
Yep.
That's handling the officer involved shooting investigation. He's the one that announced that during his last press conference. And then when they're saying, well, look, you were saying at 4:00, which was 2 hours after the event took place by your timeline, and you're saying that we're still under fire and heavy gunfire. And Norris, rather than going, well, fog of war, whatever else, he gets pissed. Watch his body language. Watch how he postures himself. Watch what he says to the reporters, and then immediately deflects.
Well, what is that? That they don't? Do they need our permission? Do they need to clarify what kind of
That's
gunfire
exactly.
it is they're taking before they have to react to do what's necessary to protect themselves? Do they need our permission to do that?
Well, what he's trying
Nobody
to do
was
is he's
saying that.
incensed that, so he's deflecting. And,
Yes.
and this is a typical Saul Alinsky type tactic. Bob, I know I've told you and Bruce Matari are experts when it comes to Saul Alinsky, but you take something and you freeze it, then you personalize it, and then you sensationalize it, right? You're turning this, the question was clarity on the timing and the number of shooters and heavy versus unheavy. And you immediately go, well, are the deputies supposed to get our permission to do their job and to protect themselves? Okay, well, it's going to get better, so we're going to keep playing.
And Andy on Facebook said he's talking to the reporters like a wife that left him.
Well,
But I
he
had to
was
add that.
married 3 times prior to his 4th one right now.
He's on his 4th now.
Maybe you're onto something, Andy.
Okay,
so for the bonus room, I'm
we got
thinking-
this. Just hold on. Sorry, guys. Can you keep? You're on screen.
Yeah, so we're gonna go this plays for a little bit longer, and then we'll be done.
Okay. Get some audio.
It's still under investigation. The suspect fired, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I want 14, 15, but keep in mind where this area is. We have went up there several times, and you've got areas where we know he fired, areas
Stay on your
where
cue.
that is heavily brushed, that we're looking for other rounds, and obviously where the final resting place was.
And then 2.1 is how many sheriffs fired and as Cortland police officer fired.
No, I mean I did not get into that.
And then there was also reports of him being up in a tree at one point.
I believe not being out there, being at the command post.
Oh.
Since he had a
He was at the command post.
history of being an
Liar.
Was he at the command post?
There was a
Lie.
threat. However, the location, once you get there, and you're on the side of a mountain, you have high ground advantage anyway.
What drone technology was used? Whose department was that?
Now, Summer, you know I'm the least IT technology.
Summer
The question was,
Bushnell,
what drone
Bob Norris
technology?
bootlicker.
Um,
Proven liar, Summer Bushnell.
I don't know.
From the
This
Bushnell
was not
report.
ours, but that's what we want. That's the one we want right there. But this was not ours. Does anybody know what drone?
Where was your
Model
drone,
it
Bob? You've got a multitude of them. Oh, wait, you can't use them because they're Chinese made.
Oh, ouch.
Okay, so Skydio.
I don't know if it's been mentioned, but do we know approximately like how far the suspect was from, like what range he's kind of shooting from?
Yeah. We believe, based on the evidence at the scene, that it was likely within 10 feet. Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, we've heard the 911 tape from the fire side. Can you talk about how law enforcement began to stage the process and how to enter the scene whenever you have an active shooter or
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this particular event did pose some challenges for the deputies that responded on the scene. And having an active shooter in a rural environment that was heavily treed, heavy brush, did pose some significant challenges. The radio transmission from Fritz Wiedenhoff, who was the firefighter that saved a lot of lives that day, he did an outstanding job. And he is the firefighter that you hear saying, everybody turn around, go back down the mountain. He did a great job. So there was a decision made that it had become so dangerous, at such a disadvantage. The deputies knew how that particular road had an S-turn and into that parking lot. So there was a decision made to wait for the Bearcat.
SWAT vehicle, armored vehicles, Bearcat.
And then once the Bearcat did arrive, a plan was developed and we extracted the 2 live firefighters, 4 citizens, and then we extracted the 2 deceased firefighters, and then we went back up there to engage the suspect.
Who were the 4 citizens, and where were they located?
I didn't. You can email Lisa if you want. But
The sheriff doesn't know that,
they were
huh?
in that general area, yeah.
There were bike riders that were...
Right, there was 4 citizens we extracted. I don't know if they were hiking, I don't know if they were on.
He doesn't even know who they are.
Broke her down this whole time?
Yes, yep.
In the video, there was the Instagram Hunter post, and there were some words next to it. Was that a transcription of the video or a different post or something else?
I'm sorry, which one was it?
The Instagram Hunter video that was the post.
There's a post from his Instagram that he put out there.
And the words next to that, was that
He posted all of that.
Okay.
Do you know when?
I don't have the date.
So it wasn't at the scene here?
It was not the same, it was prior.
It was prior, okay.
I want to know why somebody off camera is answering questions and Norris doesn't
Whenever we a
have
significant event like this, we
control of that.
we want to make sure that we responded accordingly. So we'll absolutely are going to review all of our policies and to ensure that we can respond efficiently, safely in the future. And what we know right now, we believe that it was prudent because of the killing fields and the radio transmission that had occurred, that
Killing fields. Huh.
the decision to wait for a Bearcat appears to have been prudent at this time, but we are going to continue to seek some additional information on that.
I've heard reports that paramedics were then placed in tactical gear.
They did an outstanding job.
You talked about the decision of how.
They They got on scene and said, let's go. And they were not hesitant in wanting to go up there. When they say bus also is another term for ambulance. So they had no problem in taking those ambulances up there as close as they could to put the people in there. So they did an outstanding job. Yes.
Is there any point where we can obtain autopsy results for the shooter for a public records request, or will that be denied?
You know, you'll have to seek Coroner Johnson on that. Yeah.
In that regard, was there any visible wounds that you can describe on Rowley when he was discovered?
Okay, so Bob Norris is many things that we just learned from this last little segment. One of the ones is wanted to know the cause of death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, well, you're going to have to ask Coroner Johnson for that." I mean, again, you are the lead investigating agency, and you don't think you really act like you are real certain about that. I mean, shouldn't you have kind of known that before you went out?
Just not confident in so many things, and so many things are still remain to be found out or still under
He didn't
investigation.
know the 4 names of the civilians that were rescued off the mountain.
No. You're gonna have to ask Lisa or email Lisa about that.
Hey, Lisa, let me save you an email. Why don't you send it to me? You already got my email address. I'd like to know those 4 names. Be interesting to talk to those people. A couple comments.
Do they want us talking to those people? Probably not.
Matt Kepster says, I have a hard time believing Norris trained with Mossad, which his wiki page states. Okay, Matt, yeah, you're exactly right. I know this is part of the alternative theories out there, that this was an Israeli operation or, something similar to that. I don't know. But yeah, we call that resume padding, and shame on the citizens of Cooney County for over 4 years never demanding prior to the first election or towards the second election, where's your actual resume? Because, there are folks at the Linwood station, peer reviews, that describe Bob as being an extremely lazy, quote, slug, unquote. And he's bragging about all of his major incident training. Does this guy look like a spokesman or extremely well versed in handling any kind of an event? It's unfortunate that the people in Cooney County never observed Bob under pressure for the first 4 years. Now, in the past year, he's got 2 lawsuits, one with the town hall, and he's got this incident. So
Teresa Bornpaller, I think the tort claim has just ended, so that will result in her filing suit.
Cool.
And then Penny, the Penny Collinson case, which has been refiled after some court procedure stuff there. Are you ready to continue on?
Let's go. We're almost done.
All right.
There's that his wound, he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was the only wound that was there.
Okay, so he said he died, but how come he?
Yes.
Yeah.
The questions we all have.
To the time that shots were first fired by him.
Yes. We believe that the contact with Rowley was approximately 1:40 p.m. And then we believe that the first shot was about 1:49 p.m.
As you all here watching live with us, is replaying the Bob Norris press conference from yesterday, I believe. Continue to comment and engage in the comment section there as we're watching this together.
Quick question, I apologize. So when the shots were fired, there was no reports before Fritz went up there to check because he couldn't get him on the radio. There was no reports of shots fired prior to the Fritz going up the hill.
Correct. Yeah. So that's why Fritz went up the hill. That is exactly why, and
because he had no radio.
Right, and yeah. What's your question, Kate?
Thanks, Sheriff. Firstly, was the shotgun the only weapon recovered from the scene?
No. There was a 22 caliber rifle that was recovered in his vehicle.
And who were the weapons registered to?
The suspect legally purchased that weapon.
And just a point of clarity, was he at any point in a tree? Do we know for sure one way or the other?
We wouldn't know. Yeah, we wouldn't know. You know, I want you to kind of understand, you know, what's going on. And unless you've never had that metal taste in your mouth, unless you've never had your life flash in front of you, as these deputies and Coeur d'Alene police officer are going up there, they're throwing smoke grenades to be able to conceal themselves.
All right. So again, he's projecting, he immediately turns it right back around. Don't you understand? You've never faced gunfire. You've never tasted metal in your mouth. I'm not 100% certain what that is.
Yeah.
But you know, here's a couple other questions that I'm hoping eventually somebody's going to ask. Did anybody ever ask, was there any other shooters? Like maybe some civilians that were returning fire, trying to assist?
I'm shocked there weren't any higher level investigative reporters that showed up at this conference to ask some of those more linear and obvious questions.
There was a report in the Spokesman Review, but Coeur d'Alene Press did not run an article as of this morning, 6:00 this morning. They didn't have a press report on it.
Yeah. And are you giving me forewarning to continue
Yep,
this?
go ahead.
Yeah, I need a little more.
Sorry.
To extract these two live firefighters. You got smoke from the fire. You got smoke from the smoke grenades, and they're trying to assess all the way around them from a 360-degree angle on where to shoot and what to shoot, where to defend. So, do I know if those police officers and deputy sheriffs knew that he had an arborist background? I don't know if they knew that at the time, but certainly when you're going in there, you're evaluating all the risk, and somebody being in a tree that has high ground is certainly something that should be considered. So those are the things that are occurring when these critical incidents are happening. It's not like in the movies. There's a reaction from our public safety people that are going in there. And so we have to counter, strategize. What are the risks? What are the likely risks? What are the most prominent risks?
You just introduced something I want to support. So
Sure.
when they went up, was it deputies and paramedics to go extract?
Now, three deputies, one Coeur d'Alene police officer, I believe another Coeur d'Alene police officer was the driver.
In the Bearcat?
In the civilian vehicle, armored vehicle.
They get out, they were throwing smoke grenades at them?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then did they take rounds as they're throwing the smoke?
So the one of the deputies that were on scene who went up there, he did report that was receiving fire.
As they're trying to get to the bomb?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm not so sure. He's reporting that he's receiving fire. At what point in time during that extraction? Was it 10 seconds into it, 30 seconds into it? I don't know.
So the progression, they get up there, the three deputies, the one CDA police officer, the other CDA police officer's driver, with the paramedics behind them?
No, not yet. Not yet. So we want to assess that situation because the geography of it was just very, very high risk.
And do we know know how long it was before they assessed, before they could get paramedics in?
There was about 20 minutes before, about 22 minutes before the Bearcat arrived, and then proceeded to that parking lot area.
And you guys knew at the time that Tisdale was injured. Was there a worry that we need to get to him quickly because of his injury?
You know, was there radio traffic from Tisdale?
He was providing some updates about what the status of everybody was.
Right. Okay. So so that will be part of our review of this whole event. I do know that when Fritz said that everybody shot up here, that certainly went out as a broadcast. When Fritz said, "Hey, everybody is shot up here." When Fritz got up to the scene, he thought there was something wrong with the truck. So he thought they were working on the truck, and then he realized that they were not working on the truck.
Is there any video or audio of the confrontation between Rowley and the firefighters that hasn't been released?
There is some video. I'm sorry. There is some audio. We're being told by the city of Coeur d'Alene that that video is corrupt, but the audio does work. So we, our investigators are contacting the manufacturer to see if we can uncorrupt it.
And then has the coroner put an estimated time of death on Rowley? Do we know at what point he killed himself?
Hourly. I think we got about another 9 minutes. There's still more interesting things. So I don't know. Maybe people can drop in the comments whether we should slug out the last 9. I think that the thing that I'm most bewildered at for a guy that claims all this experience and specialty training and education, why would you go out and conduct one of these press briefs, whatever he's calling it, after an incident? You got 3 weeks, Bob. 3 weeks to have guys like Mark Ellis that's off camera talking. For whatever reason, you're such a narcissist, you can't have him up there with you, apparently, or any of the other disciplines. He's answering questions because he actually knows. There's so much that you, as the spokesperson, because you decided you're point man, that you don't know. And you're all over the page. You don't know. Why are you speaking before the coroner's even released cause of death and time of death? I mean, what was it that made it have to be 3 weeks?
I mean, that's my question is, why did he do this at all? He can't make factual statements because the information hasn't been released. Like you said, that's one point by the coroner.
Yeah.
And those are questions that reporters are going to ask because they're trying to figure out.
It's a time to get
timeline.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarify things, Bob. Help us out. And in 3 weeks' time, none of your team bothered to put a binder together, and I'm surprised he didn't have his yellow notebook paper.
Always the yellow.
And he's gagging and choking, gasping for breath in between
I just
this.
don't. Why do it at all?
I don't know.
I mean, even that opens things up more for speculation because what were you trying? Again, this is just me. This is just Donna surmising. Or are you trying to get ahead of something? Do you realize that the public's asking a lot of questions? Things aren't adding up. Are you trying to get ahead of it? Are you trying to push out a narrative before there's facts? Well, investigation, it could be months. It could be a year that investigation's ongoing.
Yeah.
It's like, why do this at all 3 weeks out?
Yeah.
And not to mention he bumbles through. I mean, it's no better than the first press conference he put out in terms of, like you said, preparedness. You'd think he'd be a little more sure of himself, have a little bit better of be able to answer questions quickly and have some of those things just like ready to go.
You should know. Susie had asked earlier, how many cops actually shot their gun? The great question. Bob apparently doesn't know. The Idaho State Patrol is right now in charge of the investigation for the officer-involved shooting. So officers that discharged their weapons during this incident, it's our understanding that they are putting that investigation together. Again, not certain why Bob came out to talk about this so soon. We've gone on so long, and really, we've made our point. I think
For those, a lot of people actually probably still haven't seen, they weren't there. It was at 10 o'clock yesterday that he held this press conference. It wasn't really well attended by media. That room
he had a lot of his
empty.
sycophants there.
They were a couple of local reporters that we've even had comments in the
Are they even
in
report?
the section.
They're alternative.
They're It's like, so that's the high speed reporters that he had, two of them sitting in the room. But so for those of you who haven't seen that entire press conference, it's worth it to pop it up on your screen. Do a screencast and watch it while you're sipping on your coffee sometime tomorrow. But I'll put that link in the comments section so you can finish it
Don,
up.
I want to talk about this real quick. Wait, the video is corrupt, but audio is fine. The shooter was talking at the car, then firing from up in a tree. Okay, I understand. I mean, still, it's not fully clear. I'm not certain why they keep talking about the dude came from an arborist family.
And the tree.
But here's what I can tell you from my own personal experience. I was involved in an incident several years ago on patrol, chasing after a suspect. We ended up fighting on the ground. Unbeknownst to me at the time, my camera was damaged due to the fight. And this guy that I arrested eventually went to trial, and they attempted in a suppression hearing to try to say that, we had altered the camera because it was very similar. The video didn't work, but we had audio. So, these things do happen with cameras. They are susceptible, even though they're supposed to be rugged.
That's what's tough about this is some of it can be perfectly legit, but because there's so many holes in what's going on, then you question even that, like, so the video is corrupted, but that's probably legit. Scott Schofield said his wife was there, and I assume that is at the press conference at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, held at that Hayden campus of Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. So she was asking Norris directly if there was more than one shooter, and he refused to take her question.
Yeah, and he also got very uncomfortable when they were asking, well, how did suspect kill each of the battalion chiefs? And was it through the front windshield, through side window? He's like, well, yeah, we know that the window was open. Well, he didn't say through the side door, right? He didn't say those things. But yeah, he got very perturbed and agitated when he was asked that question. And we want to know the same thing. Look, there are a lot of people that have reported that were up on that mountain hearing other shots. Is it possible we had some Samaritans, some good folks, some good guys that were attempting to get in the fight? Don't know the circumstances on it. This is why it's so irresponsible for Bob to have ever come out and start. It started with the very first brief that he gave. He should never have been there. He should have been up with his men at the command post. He should have been taking care of business up there. That's why he pays his public information officers to handle these press briefs. And they don't have to be extremely detailed. This is all we know at the current moment.
They shouldn't
subject to change.
They shouldn't be, because he's made an absolute mess of it.
And these alternate theories are taken off. And of course, I've listened to a lot of what George Webb has said, and I know that they are factually incorrect. Even when he talks about procedures for law enforcement, he's a guy that does a lot of speculation. Doesn't mean that everything is wrong, but let's see, what are some of the other questions here?
There's things that, I go back to the drawings that were displayed. It's wild to me that he says these are still being analyzed.
But we're going to show them to
But
everybody.
yet we have now made this public information. And he's picking out details in the drawing, like here's this suspect with this particular firearm, and then there's glass around him. And I'm like, okay, so again, you have a suspect who planned and predicted these events and supposedly drew these pictures and knew everything down to the positioning, and that if he was going to take an opportunity to fire a rifle, that there would be broken glass involved. I mean, how could he have even predicted the positioning of anybody that he was gonna?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think you're reading too much into it. I'm not into the conspiracy.
Well, okay, that's fine by you, but it's one of the reasons that you've got people asking a bazillion questions, because I mean, even just that part of it is freaking bizarre.
My laptop just went down. We've gone on so long, so you'll have to read any other final.
Yeah,
comments.
they say the guy lived out of his truck, but then he's got an apartment on Sherman and Coeur d'Alene.
Would you read that last slide on George Washington?
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Look,
here.
folks, we really appreciate you sticking with us. I know that it seems like, why are you doing this, Wilson? We want to continually point out how inept, how in peril Kootenai County is with the chief law enforcement officer being this incompetent when he ran on a platform of being high speed, personally selected after 9/11 to be trained to handle events like these through Joint Regional Intelligence Center. He claims that he trained with Mossad. He claims he trained with the FBI. I think it was resume padding. Is the performance you've seen of Bob Norris at all of these many events reflective of a man that should be in the position of sheriff? Like Matt said, is it time that Bob Norris gets recalled? These are all questions that you guys should be asking. You should be taking the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee to task. You should be sending emails and demanding to know what the hell were they thinking. Why did they not have a robust debate earlier on in the year? What does George Washington have to say about honesty?
It is this: I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. George Washington.
Remember, folks, consent of the governed. You don't like what your leaders are doing, change them. Now, as always, stay strong and of good courage. Remember, we did not descend from fearful men. We descended from men who understood the times. They acted accordingly, and they dedicated their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And now it's up to you. Remember to pray for my friend Jim. Jim is really, really going through a battle. He needs many of you prayer warriors praying for his healing. Remember my friend Ron. Remember Todd. All those that are suffering. Pray for our country. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for joining us tonight on the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Donna Wilson. Visit our website to watch past episodes and view exclusive reports on the Kootenai County political power players, and that's at libertywithoutcompromise.com. There you can order apparel, another way to help support this program. Remember the link in the comment section for 15% off your midday squares. And for our podcast, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. With that, I think we're going to say, see you next week. Keep dropping those comments. See us out.
Share us on X and Instagram. See you soon.
Follow Dan Wilson on Instagram. That's at the Idaho Sheriff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Idaho Sheriff. Make sure on Facebook that you're also going to like and subscribe the Liberty Without Compromise Facebook page. Liberty Without Compromise.
So about some
Get to it.
Luna Haven.
Oh, you pronounced it right.
Luna Haven.
Yeah.
And an Olmec cigar by Foundation. Some
sounds great.
Stella cigars today.
Yeah.
Here.